Hey everyone, and welcome. If you're watching this, it means you're about to join a training session that's really going to transform your classroom. The whole point of this preview is to give you a solid foundation, a sneak peek at the core ideas we'll be mastering together. That way, you can walk into that session ready to hit the ground running. Okay, let's dive right in. So let's kick things off with a question. In almost every single English language classroom, there's this huge, unspoken challenge that we all face. What do you think is the biggest elephant in the room? You guessed it. It's the use of Spanish or whatever your student's first language happens to be. We all do it. We use it as a crutch, a really quick way to explain something. But today, we're going to dig into why that crutch might actually be holding our students back. Let's call this what it is, the translation trap. It feels helpful, right? But what it really does is set a pretty dangerous precedent inside the classroom. I want you to imagine this scenario. You've got a student in your class. The teacher holds up a picture and says, "The ball is in the box. La pelota está en la caja." Now, let's be honest here. If that student's brain knows the Spanish translation is coming just a second later, what do you think it does with the English part? Right, it just ignores it. It kind of powers down and just waits for the easy answer. So, here's the crucial point. Simultaneous translation doesn't create active learners. It creates passive spectators. When we translate, we're essentially sending a message to our students that says, "Hey, don't worry about trying to figure this out. I'll just give you the answer." We're robbing them of the mental work, the deduction, the whole process of actually learning. So let's really break this down. What's happening inside their heads? On the left, you've got an active brain, and it's working completely in English. It's deducing meaning, it's building autonomy, and it's gaining real confidence with every little win. But on the right, that passive brain is just waiting for the Spanish. This creates dependency, and it stops real language learning dead in its tracks. Our job is to keep our students' brains firing on all cylinders, right there in that left column. So if we can't translate, what do we do instead? Well, it means we need a fundamental shift in how we approach things, and it's all guided by one simple but really powerful rule. This is it, the golden rule, straight from Cambridge Assessment English. Demonstrate, don't translate. It's all about this. Instead of telling them what something means in their own language, we have to show them what it means in English. We make the language come alive through action, through context. Okay, so that sounds great in theory, right? But what does it actually look like in a real classroom with real students? Well, let's get practical. We're going to look at 4 key tools you can start using right away to bring this rule to life. First up, Realia, which is just a fancy word for real objects. So instead of translating the word under, you pick up your actual phone, you put it under the table, and you say the phone is under the table. Simple. Second, Mime and TPR, or total physical response. Use your body. You don't just say, "Wake up." No way. You yawn, you stretch, you act it out. Third, basic drawings. And listen, you don't have to be Picasso. Stick figures, simple arrows, a smiley face on the board can explain a ton. And finally, number 4 is grading language. Now this last one, this is the tool most of us miss. When you see those confused faces, what's your first instinct? It's to switch to Spanish, right? Well, grading language means you resist that urge. You don't switch languages, you just make your English simpler. You lower the difficulty level, but you stay in the target language. So, for example, let's say you ask this question and all you get back are blank stares. The old way would be to just translate it. But the new way, the TKT-approved way, is to grade your language down. You do this instead. You simplify it. You break it down. Saturday, Sunday. What do? You use simpler words. You give them options. Sleep? Play baseball? You're still asking the same core question, but you've made it 100 times more accessible, all without speaking a single word of Spanish. See how powerful that is? And this same idea works for giving instructions. We've all done it. We ask, "Do you understand?" And what do they all say? Yes, even when they have absolutely no clue what to do. So instead, we use instruction checking questions, or ICQs. We ask short, simple questions that make them prove they understood. Are we writing or speaking? Alone or in pairs? This is a total game changer for managing your classroom.
Okay, so we've gotten rid of the translation crutch. Now let's level up. Let's talk about a more advanced technique for really cranking up that student talking time, or STT. And this is super important for anyone using technology in the classroom. Look, screens and videos, they're amazing tools, but they come with the exact same danger as translation. They can turn our students right back into passive spectators just watching a screen. So we need a way to break that passive cycle and turn screen time into talking time.
And honestly, the technique couldn't be simpler. Pause, turn and talk. Never let a video or an audio clip just play for minutes on end. No, you simply pause it at a key moment. You tell your students to turn to the person next to them, and you give them a really specific question to talk about in English for just a minute or two. In one move, you've just shattered the monologue and put the spotlight right back where it belongs, on your students speaking English.
All right, we've covered a ton of ground here, haven't we? We've talked about the problem with translation, the golden rule of demonstrating, and some really practical tools to make it all happen. The whole point of our upcoming training is to turn these ideas into your day-to-day reality in the classroom. So your challenge and your growth, it really starts right now. If you only remember one thing from this whole preview, I want it to be this number: 0. That's our target. 0 simultaneous translation when we're teaching new vocabulary. That's the goal. And so, to bridge the gap between watching this right now and our training session, here is your challenge. Before we meet, I want you to try 2 things in your classroom this week. First, I want you to commit to 0 translation when you introduce new words. Use Realia, use Mime, use your stick figure drawings, use anything but Spanish. And second, just try the pause, turn, and talk technique. Just once. See what happens. Come to our training ready to share what you found out. I'm really looking forward to seeing you all there.